We want to bring in right now an expert for more information. Dr. Alok Patel is with us from Stanford Children's Health. So, Dr. Patel, thanks as always for joining us. Is it time to end these mask mandates, or is it still too soon?
Deidre, I think it's too soon to just say right now we must end all these mask mandates without that clear guideline, without the metrics that actually tell us what we're following to lift them. I do think that it's important that we show people that we're following data and that we're getting to a place where we can start to loosen them slowly. But I particularly worry about those kids at the under 5 years old. Their only real level of protection right now is not only masks for themselves, but masks for those around them. So I feel the anxiety that parents have if they're in areas with high transmission rates, low vaccination rates, and now we're removing masks altogether. So I think it does need to be a little bit more systematic.
A little more systematic. That makes sense, at least to me as a mom. But what would you say to those who may see these decisions as some sort of vindication, let's say, for anti-mask activists?
When it comes to people seeing this as a political or vindication, as you mentioned, I don't think some of the headlines are helping us when we see these headlines out there saying blue states finally lifting mask mandates or Democratic-led cities lifting mask mandates, because that is politicizing everything altogether. I think what we need to pay attention to is the fact that we've been going through this for 2 years. We're in a good place. It's okay to be optimistic, but Deidre, my issue is that if you have a prairie fire and it's burning out of control and you're 70% contained, you just walk away from it? No, we wait, which is why I wish that we would look a little bit more closely at the metrics and give it a few more weeks. We're almost there. There is no need to pick these arbitrary dates and say we're lifting mask mandates. Why don't we revisit everything, have a national discussion, and follow federal guidelines, which seem to have fallen apart, and states are now taking this on their own reins.
So, Dr. Patel, what is your advice then to parents who say, honestly, I just want my kids to wear masks no matter what, whether they're indoors, if that's school, if that's not school, even if you know that maybe some of their classmates or their friends don't have to follow that rule?
Well, I applaud those parents, because it is up to you to make the smartest decisions to protect your child. And just because some states, some districts are lifting the mask mandates, it doesn't mean that those children who are able to tolerate it can't wear masks themselves. It doesn't mean these parents can't go and talk to the schools and look to see what protective measures they're taking in place. And also, Deidre, we only have about 51% or so of eligible children who've gotten vaccinated. So now that we're lifting masks across the country in many districts, it's even more important that parents go out there and get their kids that primary prevention in the form of a life-saving vaccine. We got to get those numbers up.
So speaking of numbers, new cases are decreasing, but the World Health Organization is reporting that the U.S. has more cases and deaths than any other country, at least last week. 14,000 Americans dying of COVID-19 just last week alone. So what is the U.S. doing wrong, or are we just counting differently?
I don't think we're counting differently. I think we've, unfortunately, in some parts of this country, we've normalized these numbers. And we've been talking about the end of the pandemic and the new normal, when in no planet ever should we be calling anything normal where we're losing more than 1,000 people a day in this country alone. And, people out here compare the United States to other countries in the EU, for example, and saying, hey, look at Denmark. They lifted restrictions, when we can say back to them, Denmark has an 80% vaccination rate, 60% booster rate. They've lost 3,800 people since the start of the pandemic. We've lost more than that over the weekend. And I think that the United States is just so divided right now and where we stand with regards to the pandemic that we need to pay attention to the fact that we have come a long way in 2 years. We have better vaccines. We have vaccines. We have more treatments. We know how to screen. We have contact tracing. We're just almost there. We just have to hang tough for a little bit longer. And I don't think we're going to get there if we keep having these divided conversations without the national guidance.
I'm glad you mentioned Denmark's statistics as well, because it's true. There are many misleading headlines with people in discos and at restaurants. So glad to have the facts. As always, Dr. Alok Patel, thank you so much.
Deidre, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.